that we're not financial gurus, that you are, what are some simple things that we can do or resources that we can be led to?
Well, I can tell you what I believe in, and is that I remember reading somewhere that people that do well financially spend I think about 20 to 30 hours a month just reading financial stuff and just having financial conversations, whereas the average American maybe spends 3 hours a month. So I'm not saying that that we should go all the way to the top of that comparison, but maybe instead of 2 or 3 hours a month, maybe you go up to 10 or 12, where you're just reading financial news. I think places like Yahoo Finance, CNBC can be beneficial. Investopedia is really, really good. We have a lot of free resources in the Black Business School. And what we encourage our students to do in the Black Business School is we just say, look, just have conversations about what's going on with money. It doesn't have to match what's in a textbook. But you're thinking about money all the time. Money's always coming up in family situations. So we're just asking you to make it a little more structured. Maybe once a week, you just get on a Zoom with your family members as you're catching up with everything else. Talk about what your goals are and what you're trying to accomplish, and share information. And that can go a long way. So those are some simple ways I think people can get started. Just by talking about money and becoming part of that culture of wealth building will make a huge difference in your life.
Okay, thank you. Jackie, would you like to add something for that?
Yes, I would. I was just bringing up my presentation where I had some different resources. But I will say this. Here's what helped me tremendously. Okay, I'm not necessarily the book reader. I know Dr. Watkins is going to say, you need to be reading books. But even though I like to write, I just didn't like, look how big some of these books are. So that was not the most attractive way, or the way that I consumed information. So I figured out, and I wish I would have figured this out in high school, I learned better audibly, like listen to podcasts, or watching, like on YouTube. So a lot of my resources and most of what I have learned have come from either a YouTube channel, I will find a great content creator, or it will come from podcasts. I could tell you probably every personal finance podcast that's out there and match it to what topic you want to hear. So figure out what is the way that you like to consume and learn information first, and then go search and just do a general, start going to whatever platform you like go to Apple Podcast and search for personal finance podcast or whatever topic you're looking at, or go to YouTube and do that search. That way you're more interested in, consuming the information versus trying to force yourself to do it in a way that, might not keep your attention. So also remember apps. There's a lot of great apps out there. Most of the budgeting, cash flow, and net worth apps, they have education along with it, right? Like Credit Karma, they have education. Evans app, Kitty Credit, it has education. There's courses. One of the podcasts and the courses that I learned a lot from was Choose FI. They have a nonprofit that where they put together a class that I thought was very, very helpful. There's let's see, I'm going to look at my list here, but there, just go back to my presentation will be posted, I believe, on the Google platform for Black History Month. And I list an entire 2 pages of different resources that could be helpful to you on multiple platforms. So check those out.
And to talk about the podcasts, because I'm right there with you, Jackie. It's tough for me to read. But I found an app called Blinkist, and what it does is it allows you it'll condense a book that you've always wanted to tackle, but it'll really touch on the key points of it in 15 minutes. So it's kind of I don't know if y'all remember the book Short Circuit, but you would touch a book and read it. It's kind of it feels like that a little bit. But then in podcasts, I listen to Earn Your Leisure on occasion. But Blinkist, I love.
Okay.
Yeah, I like Blinkist too, and I'll tell you, Jackie, I know a lot of people think I constantly read books, because of what I do, and I had to, obviously, to do what I do. But but I actually am more of a believer in reading articles because it's more up to date. A book is a big commitment. It can take a month to get through the thing, where sometimes you need bits and pieces of information from multiple sources. And I find articles and podcasts are actually much more effective, So my 2 cents on that.
Awesome. Thank you, panelists. You guys are amazing, by the way.
Well, and she asked the right question, so kudos for even asking that question.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so very much. You all are amazing. We have time for one more question. If we could just get everyone to answer the question. What is one thing that I can do today to improve my financial situation?
I'll go first, right? So because I'm not the mic dropper on this. That's Jack here, Dr. Watkins, right? So what works for me is I created a spreadsheet, and just everything that I have on a monthly basis, like the moment I paid it, I highlighted in green. The moment if it's upcoming, it's yellow. If it's like it just became due, I highlighted in orange, and it just helps keep me accountable. It's like my personal little system. But ever since I've done that, I know, like, I know where I'll fall short, or I know where I'll have surplus and things like that. So it's just, like, I would say really just tackling your personal budget, like, for me was super helpful. But I'll defer to the expert.
Jackie, you can.
Okay. Thinking about, myself and what kind of turned the tide was looking at my net worth, or figuring that out. Probably the most powerful exercise I've ever done around my finances has been my net worth. And the reason is not to see that you got all these gobs of money, but it's to see where you're at. Like we just talked about those stats of the wealth gap and where we were at today. You have to know where you're starting at to know where you're going and how far it might take to get there. So whether you use an app, a yellow pad, an Excel spreadsheet like I did when I first started my net worth, it's so powerful just to see your full picture and where you're at. And even if it's in the red, that is okay. You want to just be able to know where you started, so that as you move the needle and you get out of the red and you start moving in the right direction, you're seeing the compounding. It's such a great feeling. But you will only know that if you somehow figured out what your starting point was. So that would be my thoughts.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Boyce?
Yeah. The way I want to answer that question is, because it's been a long time since I first started thinking about financial literacy, right? I literally got to go back to the early 90s, back when Dougie Fresh was a teenager or something, right? And so I sometimes have to do that because, when you do something all the time, it's tough sometimes to remember what it was like to be almost afraid of it, or to have it be completely new. So the best way I could probably answer that question for you is, I think about the discussion I was having with my 17-year-old, and I'm a bonus dad. We have a blended family, and I don't know if anybody else is in a blended family, but it is hard work to connect with the kids, right? And I mean, it is literally, it's almost like it's tough, right? It's something I think about all the time. So with the 17-year-old, I noticed that he loves to play video games. I said, okay, I used to play video games, so maybe we can connect around that. So I started playing this new video game. I actually formed a Twitch channel where I was going to learn how to play this game called Call of Duty. And it's really crazy. It's a crazy game. You go around and you just kill people all day, which I'm sure that affects our mental health in a horrible way, but whatever. And so I started learning how to play this game. And one of the things I did was I said, okay, how can I go from a person who knows nothing about this to someone who can, jump in here and actually get good? Because it was tough. I jump in here and I'm getting my head blown off by 12-year-olds because I don't know what's going on. And I said, I know how I'm going to do this. I'm going to make sure that I practice this game every day for a little bit of time, right? Every day, I'm just going to spend 10, 15, 20 minutes a day on there. And literally by doing this, and I created even a whole Twitch channel on it where I let people watch me just stupidly figure out how to do this. I started getting better. And then another thing I did was in addition to making the decision to make that little day-to-day commitment to learn this new skill, I started talking to I started talking to the 17-year-old about it, and he's explaining like, no, you got to hit that button so you don't get blown up, or make sure you go left, and make sure you set up the such and such, right? And so we're connecting, right? That's okay. Mission accomplished. We're talking now, and then two, I'm learning this new thing that I wanted to learn so that we can connect even further. And so I would say that the translation into wealth is one, just make a decision first of all that this is something that you want to do. Right, that's huge. Are you here to break cycles in your family? Because many of you probably have tough, bad economic cycles that have continued for generations in your family. Are you here to break those cycles or continue them? That's a conscious decision. And then two, I think you have to forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for the mistakes you've made, because a lot of us have made those mistakes. Like, join the club. At this point, it's not about what mistakes you've made. It's what mistakes are you going to choose to continue to make, right? And so once you make that decision, it's the baby steps, right? Doing a little bit every day, reading a financial article every day, even if you don't understand it. Going ahead and signing up for that class that you have been thinking about doing and haven't done it yet, and committing yourself to giving 10, 15 minutes a day to whatever it is you're trying to do. I know we have a platform, theallblackagenda.com, where we actually put together what I call the $5 a day investing plan, where literally with $5 a day investing is consistent with what Jackie talked about. Compound interest is a beautiful thing that literally a person who just invests an average of $5 a day would literally have about $100,000 in liquid wealth in about 20 years, and $250,000 in about 30 years, and $750,000 in 40 years, right? So it's a long time, sure, it's a long process, but the point is that that's how wealth gets built. Wealth is an accumulation process, an accumulation of little steps over and over again that help you get to the path that's going to get you to victory, right? So take the baby steps and start planting the baby seeds. It's not going to happen overnight, but at least you're moving in the right direction, and that's where rich people come from. So, or at least financially secure. You don't even have to be rich to be financially free, to be financially happy. I just want you to be secure. So one thing we might agree on right now today is that whatever we've been doing to this point, maybe it wasn't working. So let go of the bad habits and in with the new, take the baby steps, and you'll be amazed at how much progress you can make. I now get on Call of Duty and I kick all those 12-year-olds in their butts because I was doing the baby steps.
All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Equifax employees,